You're not emotional. You're just untrained. You think you're emotional. You think you're real. You think your reactions mean you're alive. They don't. You're not emotional. You're just impulsive. You react fast because your system was trained to move before it understands. And that reaction? You call it truth. You call it instinct. You say, "This is just how I feel." But most of what you feel isn't real. It's a reflex, a flash, a nervous system glitch you never learned how to override. Impulse isn't depth. It's velocity. It's electricity without command. And until you interrupt it, you will confuse motion with meaning and chaos with clarity. Because every time you move without pause, you're not choosing. You're rerunning code, a loop built by repetition, not by strategy. Cold mind doesn't fight impulse. It cuts the circuit, because the one who pauses first leads. You don't need to feel less. You just need to stop obeying the first signal that fires. Impulse isn't you. It's a code. You've been running without question. Your speed isn't proof of depth. It's proof your system moves faster than your mind. You feel something, and you move. But here's the truth. Impulse is not emotion. It's not intuition. It's not identity. It's electricity. It's your nervous system looking for speed, not meaning. You were trained, not by logic, but by repetition. And what's repeated gets embedded. What's embedded becomes automatic. So now, every time something triggers you, your system doesn't ask, "Is this helpful?" It asks, "Have we survived this before?" And if the answer is yes, even if the response was destructive, your body runs it again. You snap, you justify, you defend, you explain. Not because it's strategic, but because it's available. It's the fastest path from signal to motion. And that speed feels real. So you say, "I'm just like this. I'm a passionate person. I react when something matters to me." But what you call emotion is often just an impulse dressed as identity. Cold mind sees the difference. It knows. If your nervous system is running the same code every time pressure shows up, you're not alive. You're automated. And automation isn't clarity. It's velocity without vision. That's why cold logic starts here, by separating what you feel from what you do. Not to become robotic, but to finally take the wheel from a system that's been reacting without permission. Impulse isn't your enemy, but if you don't pause, it will make choices on your behalf. And the faster it moves, the more convincing it feels. But speed doesn't equal clarity. That's next. The faster you react, the further you are from clarity. You think reacting fast means you're sharp, present, intuitive. But here's the truth. The faster you react, the less you choose. Because speed doesn't equal clarity. Speed equals automation. You weren't present. You were running a preset, an emotional script stored in your nervous system from years of repetition. The moment something triggers you, the code fires. Anger? Fire script A, guilt. Fire script B, fear. Shut down. Shame? Explain. You don't think. You execute. And then you call that you. But it's not you. It's a survival loop disguised as personality. And the faster it runs, the more it convinces you it's truth. But truth doesn't rush. Truth waits for signal plus structure. Truth slows you down so you can see the whole frame, not just the flare. But impulse hates slowness, because the longer you pause, the more exposed it becomes. Impulse can't survive under inspection. It needs momentum to stay believable. That's why you feel anxious when you wait to respond. It's your system trying to push the code through before logic kicks in. And every time you obey that feeling, you strengthen the loop. Reinforce the reaction. Make it run faster next time. That's not growth. That's entrenchment. Cold mind doesn't run faster. It runs cleaner. Because it knows. And when reaction wears confidence, it becomes self-sabotage in a power suit. Impulse loves speed. But power lives in delay. Cold logic. 3 steps to cut the code and regain command. You don't override impulse with motivation. You override it with architecture. Cold logic doesn't tell you to calm down. It teaches you how to rewire the code that triggers movement before you're even aware of it. Here's how. 1. Pause the circuit. Every reaction starts with a surge, a flash of electricity. The body leans forward. The tone rises. The urge hits. This is where most people fail, because they move before they observe. But here's the trick. Every impulse loses power if you pause 3 to 5 seconds. That's not hesitation. That's interruption. You're cutting the loop before it can become behavior. You're not resisting. You're redirecting. 2. Label the pattern. Now that you've paused, name what's happening. This isn't me deciding. This is me reacting. This is old code running. This is familiar panic pretending to be urgency. Labeling breaks fusion. It pulls your awareness out of the emotion and into the system. Because what you observe, you can change. What you merge with, you repeat. 3. Insert cold logic. Now you choose. Not based on emotion, not based on pressure, but based on frame. Ask, what action keeps me in structure? What response aligns with my intention, not my impulse? This isn't about feeling better. It's about staying positioned. Respond like a system, not like a symptom. And once you've repeated this often enough, your body learns. Impulse doesn't get to drive anymore. That's how cold logic works. Not dramatic, not emotional, just structural. Because in the world of cold mind, the most dangerous people aren't reactive. They're designed. Every time you pause, you prove to your system that you're in charge now. He didn't react. He executed the code. The moment was sharp, public, tense. Someone called him out, challenged his decision, threw passive aggression across the table with a smirk. Everyone expected a snapback, a defense. What did you just say? He didn't give them that. He paused, just for 4 seconds. It was subtle, but surgical. You could see the impulse hit him, the breath shorten, the shoulders tense. But then, he accessed something different. Instead of reacting, he ran the system. Step 1. Pause the circuit. Let the wave pass. No motion, no expression, just control. Step 2. Label the pattern. This is bait. This is not new. This is performance pressure disguised as personal attack. And step 3. Insert logic. He chose not the emotional win, but the structural win. A response that was clear, measured, undeniable, but unshakable. No tone spikes. No drama. Just, we'll address it when the facts are clear. Not before. Silence followed. No one expected that answer. It didn't flare up. It froze the frame. Because cold logic isn't loud. It's calculated. And when done right, it makes the room shift around you. He didn't win because he out-talked them. He made the moment reframe itself, and that changed the energy entirely. Impulse would have fought. Logic repositioned the entire conversation. Final message. Impulse is fast, but logic is final. You've spent most of your life believing that fast equals real, that reacting first means you're honest, that intensity equals truth. But it doesn't. It just means you moved before you looked. You spoke before you framed. You reacted before you chose. Impulse feels powerful because it moves without permission. But that's not freedom. That's automation. Cold mind doesn't fight impulse with discipline. It replaces it with structure, not to suppress, but to direct. To choose the code before the pressure arrives. Because leadership doesn't react. It observes, interrupts, executes with intention. And that gap between signal and response is where power is built. Impulse wants you loud, fast, predictable. Cold logic makes you quiet, precise, unmoved. You don't have to kill emotion. You just have to stop letting the first surge become your final move. From here on out, you pause, you reframe, you decide. That's how you stop reacting and start leading. In the next video, we'll enter the world of weaponized stillness, where doing nothing is the sharpest move you can make. Subscribe, lead cold. Not to suppress feeling, but to override chaos.